All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Thursday, May 8th, right here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson. And this is All In Horns, presented by Rogue Sports Network. Today's episode, we are going to be previewing the Texas and Florida baseball series. We're going to give you an in-depth analysis as to what we think is going to happen in that game, how these two teams are playing going into this game, and then we will also discuss the SEC softball tournament as that is underway yesterday and tonight as well. More action in the SEC tournament, and softball will continue playing. And Texas awaiting the winner of Ole Miss and Florida as we get set to for the girls to get going in their game against the winner of that game tomorrow evening. So, Jake, let's go ahead, get into this, and talk a little bit about Texas baseball. We'll start off with them coming off of a series sweep on the losing end of a sweep against Arkansas. An Arkansas team who maybe wasn't playing their best baseball, but now got a big sweep over the number one team in the nation and could possibly kind of project their season and kind of catapult them into where they want to be, sitting second in the SEC. But Texas still on that top spot. 5 is still that magic number with 2 series left to play. Again, another kind of not necessarily the best outing against Lamar on Tuesday, but was able to get ready for the Florida series. What are you expecting in this series from Texas?
Yeah, I think this series is going to tell us a lot about, the rest of the season's hopes for this Texas baseball team. Are the bats going to be better is probably the biggest thing I'll be paying attention to, along with not walking and not hitting batters from the pitching side of things. But, this is their first series loss of the season. And how are they going to come back from that with the series at home against a very beatable team with the SEC titles still within their full destiny? The magic number is still 5. It didn't change this weekend, which is a disappointment when you consider, just one win would have put them in such a good spot. But I think if you're this Texas team, you got to feel like this is a team you need to sweep this weekend, because that would put you firmly in the driver's seat of just needing to win the series against Oklahoma to guarantee an SEC title, yet alone if Arkansas drops one, only needing to win one. And Florida's not a terrible team. They've won 4 straight series going into this.
They've won 4 straight games going into this.
Yeah. Does that really count when it's South Carolina? Is my question.
That's the big question.
Who is atrocious this year. And the 2 of the other series wins are against Missouri, who is winless in SEC play. Not one single baseball win. Not one game, not series. Winless games, swept every series. Just want to make sure that's clear for everybody. And then Mississippi State. Now they did beat Arkansas, who just whipped Texas, but that was, I believe that was in Gainesville. Florida hasn't been that great on the road. I think they're like 9-7 on the road. And some of those came in the non-conference play. I'm not going to say it's a must sweep. It is a must-win series for Texas when it comes to staying, a winning team going into postseason play. But a sweep would make me feel great, not only about winning the SEC, but also just about this team not having a decline right when, we hit the important part of the schedule and the important part of the season.
Yeah, no, Jake, I completely agree with you. And this Florida team playing better as of late. Texas obviously dropping that series against Arkansas and by getting swept and losing those 3 games. But again, full season, you still control your own destiny. You just need to get a sweep and win the next series. Easier said than done, obviously, and that's also with Arkansas winning out. So to make it perfectly clear for everybody, if Arkansas drops an SEC game, then that magic number is 4. If Arkansas drops 2 games, that magic number is 3, and so on and so forth. And so you're obviously not necessarily relying on Arkansas to drop games. You're going to act as though they're going to win out the rest of their season. Again, that number would be 5 out of your next 6 games. You are regular season champions of the SEC. Now, Florida has been a bat heavy, run heavy team in terms of scoring runs and getting on base, home runs. They are all top 5 of the conference, ranking 4th in batting average, hits, and runs scored. So their bats have actually been really, really good. They've been consistent, and they're kind of the only reason why they're winning games. Now, the pitching on the other end, that's why they are where they are, sitting 13th in the conference overall with an 11-13 record, is because they also give up more runs than they hit. Unfortunately, well, fortunately for Texas, unfortunately for them, they're 13th in the conference in hits allowed, 14th in home runs allowed, bottom in ERA, only ahead of South Carolina and Missouri, which are programs they just beat. And then their fielding is middle of the pack. So really on the defensive side of the ball, they're not one of the more efficient and prolific teams in the conference. Texas should, if this is any series to get the bats hot again, it's this series.
Yeah, and that's why this matchup to me is important for Texas, because I imagine Florida's going to score some runs, and if the bats are cold, they could be in trouble in a series like this. So for Texas, this is the time to get those bats going again.
I do think
they've
this
been
matchup
struggling.
bodes well for a team with Texas's pitching, though. I would think that the it's kind of like in football, where if you've got the number 1 defense taking on the number 1 offense, typically the defense comes out on top, because obviously that's more important than scoring points, is preventing the other team from scoring. And so, but I think that's kind of where Texas is like their pitching is so good that now, yes, Florida might put up some runs, but as long as Texas bats are about on par for what they've done all season, I would imagine this is a favorable matchup for Texas.
Yeah, it should be. On paper, This is a very favorable matchup for Texas. This is a series, like I said, they still have that number 1 next to them, by the way. Stayed number 1 in the D1 baseball rankings and several other ones. This is one that they in my opinion should probably sweep. It's your final series at home for the season until you get to regionals. But final regular season series at home. And it's a team that is not one of the stronger teams in the SEC. They are not near as good as several of the other teams that you have swept. Mm-hmm. And so this is not necessarily a must sweep, but
it is a must win.
It is a must win, especially when you look as far as winning the SEC goes. If they lose the series, unless Arkansas just has a downfall, I would almost at that point just favor Arkansas out of this. But they need to get everything feeling right, because time of recording, we haven't finished the Texas Lamar game, but the bats still were not very good against Lamar. And
at time of recording, they're up 4-2 in the 7th.
Yeah, which is not a great game from the bats, especially when you consider they're coming off a series where that was a big struggle. You would have liked to see them kind of get it right on a Tuesday. And that, I mean, even if they get it going in the last 2 innings, that's, this is 7 innings of not hitting the ball well on this game. So I would say even if they score 8 runs in the last 2 innings, I would still not consider it they got everything right.
Yeah.
The lineup as a whole is just not batting that well right now. And this is kind of their first slump like this in the entire season. And that's concerning just when you consider the time of the year that it's happening.
The timing of it is not ideal. Now, the timing of the injuries, we're starting to get around, starting to get a little bit healthier. And obviously Jared Spencer out for the season, so we're not going to hold our breath for that one. But you got guys like Galvan back. You got Jonah Williams back in the lineup. You're getting some guys back. And so hopefully this is going to be a continuing trend as the season progresses and no one else is added to that injury list.
Which, by the way, Texas, in the bottom of the 7th has a total of 3 hits on the game.
With 4 runs. Yeah.
I mean, Lamar's out hitting them. So that, the panic button's not, being pressed right now, but I'm aware of where it is in the house.
I mean, Lamar's only had 5 hits to Texas's 3. I mean, this has been a pitching duel, and the fact that the score is 7-4 is actually kind of surprising with the amount of only
Or
8
4 to
hits
2?
being held.
Or did I miss a bunch of scores?
Hitting summary based on the stats that I've got pulled up on the stat broadcast website. It's team hitting Lamar 5 of 24. Texas is 3 of 22.
Oh yeah, but the score is 4 to 2.
Yeah,
Though
yeah.
it is Texas bases loaded in the bottom of the 7th with 1 out. So hopefully they're about to put up a bunch of runs, but and they get a force out at home plate, so that's not good. But live reacting to a game that happened a couple days ago
Yeah.
for people listening. But
A little behind the scenes of
but
how this podcast works, but anyway, yeah.
yeah, but yeah, this I would love to see them put up 8 to 10 runs on an average throughout this series.
Yeah, against Florida, they need to be on. And my thing is just getting on base. We got to get on hits and put pressure and extend these pitchers to go deep into their bullpen and extend them inning per inning on pitches every inning. And if we could average, these guys coming in on an inning with between 15 to 20 pitches pitched, Texas sets themselves up very well mid to late in games to really stockpile on the runs.
Yeah, which Texas just left 3 stranded, by the way, when they had bases loaded with 1 out. So that's not great. But yeah, I mean, that is one thing you just mentioned. That's something I've noticed heavily here in this, the small stretch, but still early in the season, because they haven't been a great batting average team the whole year. They kind of been more of a long ball, extra bases type team that they kind of rely on that. But they done a good job of battling pitchers throughout the year and having a really good approach at the plate when it comes to hitting. And I think they've kind of gotten away from that a little bit here, in this, granted it's just this last weekend and now, but it's a little bit of a trend when it's, 4 games now.
Yeah.
And especially when you're getting kind of a Tuesday get right game, the final midweek game of the year. And they're not really getting right. So this Florida series feels a lot more important than I think we would have thought it would a week or two ago, just because you consider they're coming off a sweep. You're noticing the bats starting to cool down, and Florida is not a good pitching team. So if the bats aren't good this weekend, I'm going to be pretty worried about this team kind of floundering out at the end of the season.
I will be too, Jake. Do you want to go ahead and give a quick prediction on this series?
Yeah, I'm going to go and predict them to get things right. This team has battled back from adversity all year. Now the adversity has not included losing a series, but it has included losing players, adversity within a ball game. And I think that character will show, and they'll find a way to get the bats going. Because it seems like every time you start to doubt them, they find a way. And so I do think they'll sweep this series. I think there'll be 1 close game and then 2 games that they handle fairly easily.
I also have a sweep, and so I've almost gotten the majority of our series is correct, aside from Arkansas, because obviously it was, look, they're continuing to win. Why would they go down now? That obviously did not happen. Based on the numbers, I probably should have picked Arkansas to at least win that series 2-1, but I would have never predicted a sweep for Texas to get swept by Arkansas. So that was surprising to me. But I do think in this series, Jake, I think Texas is going to turn it around and get the sweep on Florida, and a much needed one. I think this team bounces. We haven't seen this team face adversity like this. We've seen them face different types of adversity throughout the season, whether that's injuries, whether that's going down early in games and making late game pushes and, coming up and beating, programs like Georgia, who are ranked ahead of them at the time, and stepping up big in those moments in those series. But we've never seen Texas coming back from a loss series this season. And so this will be a very interesting dynamic, something we haven't seen this approach from this team yet. And I do think that they are going to show us exactly the type of team that they are. this upcoming weekend. And so I've got Texas in a full sweep against Florida, and it should be a fun series to keep an eye on and watch, as I'll be flipping back and forth with some playoff hockey as well. So, Jake, SEC softball tournament alive and well. Mizzou, the Texas game, the game that Texas fans and team was kind of keeping an eye on, at least earlier today, or yesterday, I should say, was the Ole Miss and Missouri game. Missouri won or Ole Miss won that game 1-0, kind of a yucky, disgusting type of game. But they will be taking on Florida. And so now the winner of Ole Miss and Florida will then play Texas tomorrow. And so obviously can't say I know too much about it, other than Florida should be the heavy favorites coming out of that game. And so Texas, as the 3 seed, gets two bye weeks through the rounds or whatever, through 2 passes, I guess you could say. But probably looking at Florida. But I'm interested to see kind of how this Texas softball team didn't end the season on a particularly high note. I know they swept Kentucky in the last series of the year, which you and I both said that was kind of a must sweep situation after losing and getting swept by Oklahoma, losing to Tennessee in your final 2 of your last 3 series of the season. So what are you expecting from this softball team?
I think they'll make it to a point where they got to play a Tennessee or an Oklahoma, and then we're going to see if they're able to figure those teams out, because they really haven't been able to so far. But they've shown that they consistently beat the teams that are for sure below them. They've just struggled with that top pack.
Also, didn't play Texas A&M this year in the regular season.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to see that matchup happen. Because that's the only of the top team that they didn't play, which is, again, very weird that wasn't scheduled. They were scheduled in every sport.
Yeah.
But very weird that it didn't happen in softball. But it's hard to say what my expectations are. These tournaments are always kind of, I never really have an expectation of my team going into a tournament unless they're in a must-win situation like Texas was in basketball, where it's like they must win 2 games to get in the tournament. They better win 2 games to get in the tournament. That's the only time I really put expectations on. When the team was good all year, sometimes these tournaments are just kind of screwy. And so I will say I just want, kind of like talking about the baseball team, I want to see the bats do well, especially against good pitching. We've seen the bats do perfectly well against mediocre or bad pitching or just good pitching. But whenever they face those top pitchers, they struggle to get any runs up. Or it seems like when they do get runs up, the defense falters, like in the OU series. And so I would love to see them get to play in OU or Tennessee again and see if they can, fight back and prove that they can beat that type of team, because they're going to have to beat those types of teams to have any shot of winning in the Women's College World Series, yet alone getting to it.
And that's the wild thing about, these conference tournaments. It is a one and done. It's single elimination. You don't get a series. And so I think Texas head to head can beat anybody in the country in a 1-game format. It's whenever you get to those best 2 out of 3 formats is where I think that's wherever you're going to start getting Texas to falter against a Tennessee, against an Oklahoma, and those types of teams. Now, they did take care of business against a Florida team way early in the season, and so probably that Florida team much different than they are now. Texas is a much different team than they were then, and so I'll be very curious for the remainder of this SEC tournament of just how they come out and play against that Florida team or Ole Miss, but likely Florida. And then hopefully advancing on and playing, getting a chance to play an A&M or getting a chance to revitalize a loss against an Oklahoma or a Tennessee later on in the tournament.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I think. This will just give us an idea of, can this team still become a national championship contending team? Or are they just, just what they are, what we've kind of seen through the whole sample size of the season, or can they be a little bit more like they were looking early in the season, where I think they were looking a little bit better than how they finished. And so I'm sure that the coaches and the players are kind of probably putting a little bit more of an emphasis on this tournament than they would have if they were the number 1 or the number 2 team in the SEC. I think kind of falling into that number 3, number 4 spot probably lit a little bit more of a fire under them. So I will say that I bet they are putting expectations on that. And if that is the case, I'll be really curious to see if they're kind of putting a little bit more urgency on this tournament. Does that result in better play, or does that result in, stressing at the plate and kind of forcing things and then things not going well at the plate?
All right, Jake, that's about all we've got. We obviously don't know who Texas is going to play quite yet in the SEC tournament, or else we would make a prediction on kind of what we think could happen, but we don't know what is going to happen. So we can't really make a prediction on that. So, but that is going to do it for today's talk on the Texas baseball series preview against Florida and kind of where Texas softball stands as well. Remember, stay tuned for their game on Friday night as they take on the winner of Ole Miss and Florida. Or is it Thursday night that they play? Yeah, they play Thursday night at 5 p.m. So they will play tonight.
It throws me off. Every series should just be Friday through Sunday.
Yeah. Now Texas baseball will play Friday through Sunday, but softball is on
with the tournament, but baseball too has had series where it's Thursday, and those completely I miss the Thursday game often.
Almost every time. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We appreciate it. We love giving you content each and every day, 5 days a week, dropping these episodes at noon. For Jake Jimerson, I'm Tanner Carlson. As always, ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.